The stock market is rigged, but if you follow this 0 DTE options trading strategy, brought to you by Rigged AI, you can win more and lose less. And when you win, you're going to win big. But more importantly, we want to keep you out of bad trades. And knowing when to trade and when not to trade comes down to one thing: tradability. At Rigged, we calculate tradability by the number of option sweeps we detect. These are large trades coming from Wall Street, hedge funds, lizards, whatever. Big money, big trades. And it's like a really simple concept. If Wall Street is participating actively, they're putting in calls, 300K, they're buying puts, 500K, something like that, they know, right? They know something is going to happen. Price action will be tradable. And on the flip side, when they don't, and they generally sit out of the market, we don't expect much. We're looking at March 4th, 2024, and we went up 2 strikes and came right back down to the blue line. That's what tradability is about. Now, there's a couple different modes, and you can kind of think of them like a video game. Today, in this video, we're going to be covering Nightmare Mode, which is the hardest difficulty. But if you're patient and you can wait until the end of the session and not get killed in all of this nonsense right here, actually, really good setups, really good trades. Let's get into it. At 10 a.m., Rigged sends the tradability notification. This will let you know if it's going to be easy or difficult to return 100% plus. Also, we provide like the time frame, when we want to lock in, what we want to look for, preferred setups, all of that. When we're in Nightmare Mode, that means volume is incredibly low. Like there's no participation. So if you're looking at this right here on the chart, we open at the 512 strike, okay? And volume at 90%. But then we get to 10 a.m. Boop, 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 boop. And it's 77.63% of the 14-day average. And what happens, right? This is nothing. You're just hitting 512, you're going above it. Well, you're not seeing a strike up, a strike down. This tells you we want to stay out of the open. Don't trade it. The only time we want to trade the open is when we see 2 strikes in either direction. Because if this is high volume, tradability is in easy mode or something like that, it'll be great. Like you'll be able to make money very quickly. But if you follow the alert, do not trade before 1300. Like, don't even try. It is a complete nightmare. And if we look at this price action until then, I mean, this barely goes up 1 strike all the way to 1300 right here. So did we miss anything? No, you absolutely did not. So 1300, we can log back in, get back on Discord, get on the computer, and hey, that's when we might want to pay attention, okay? 1300, there's a little bit of a nuke down here, and then look what happens. 1401, so an hour later, you get bulls and bull lottos. So a lotto alert, all that means is someone is buying lots of calls out of the money, like 1,000 plus. And these alerts absolutely crush it, right? Absolutely crush it. I mean, look at them. 285% in an hour, 285% in an hour, 256% in an hour, 321% in an hour. That's amazing. Like, what's better than that? Nothing is better than that. important thing to look at, right? Here, look at PS, 1.1 comes in here, 2.9. So if you miss this, right, if you're not here, maybe you can trade this one, but you have to understand there's a lot more risk. That's what PS is telling you. And then when we get to the top, these are people late to the move. PS is 4.02, max gain 0%. So when the alert comes in, you're looking, right? If you're here, man, you had awesome chance to take the 513 call before you get the move higher. But if you don't pay attention until 1436, okay, you were busy, you had a call, you were on Zoom, you were doing whatever. When that alert comes in, the first thing we need to do is come back to the rigged chart. Don't look in TradingView, don't look at anything else. Because when you look at TradingView and you see it just ramping up, right? Your brain is immediately going to be like, let's chase it, let's go. That is what the market does. Kills people in that way. But if you come here to rig, right? And you see this one, right? You're like, hey, we've already moved up. Okay, maybe I can take it and go small. We get here, 2 strikes higher, or nightmare mode, you're going to get killed. It doesn't blast through. So that's why it's so important. Alert comes in, come back to rigged, and just look. Are you early or are you late? This is early. This is in the middle, right? Because, you're catching an up move. But here, you've moved a strike higher. You're late. This is late. You can still trade it in case we get a crazy rip until the end, but you need to understand the risk, right? And that's what PS tells you. PS 353, we're here. You move from 2.9, and that's why these alerts, 5%. The other thing that's really important is when you get to a strike, okay, so we've moved up, basically 1 strike, 2 strikes from the open, 2 above the blue line, right? Because the blue line is essentially 512. When you're here and it is not ripping through, it is not screaming to you, please, God, buy the 515 call, you're going to get killed. You need to have max fear that it's going to go back down. And that's exactly what happened. So the Robinhood closes right here, 1530. And what did Wall Street do? They crush everyone the entire session. No one makes money on puts. No one makes money on calls. They rip it up. I mean, these things crush it, 285%. And then they nuke it right back to the blue line. I mean, like 20 cents higher. But if we follow tradability, do not trade before 1300. Only trade bulls with negative PS and bears positive PS. Well, this is not a negative PS. That's a 1.1. That is a little bit risky. And I'm sure if we go down and look at the strategy guide, let's see this thing. Caution. Do not trade if PS is positive. You have to do a gut check here. It's positive, but 1.1, it's yellow. That's caution. The additional thing is the win rate here, 50%. So when you see this, we need to think like, hey, 50% chance that I'll win on this trade. And remember, a win at rigged represents over 100% return. Small trade size, and only enter if you can buy out of the money under the strike. So that's what we get, right? 513, we are out of the money, okay? PS is positive, barely positive, 1, fairly neutral. Small trade, 20% plus, you get 285% in an hour win rate at 50%. That's what this is about. Low volume, nightmare mode tradability, 1300, we don't even pay attention. Okay, man, that's a lot of bulls and lottos at the same time. Take it and you win. This is one example, March 4th. We'll go into the next one now. All right, we're talking strategy, February 27th, 2024. We just updated the app, so this is showing a little bit of the old text, but same thing. 10 a.m., right? Volume, look at it, 72.23%. What does that tell us? What does strategy say? It says, hey, go live your life, come back at 1300. And look at how perfect this is. 1300 is like the magic time. Two bulls in a row, and you're essentially 2 strikes down. The great thing is, this is like textbook mean reversion, which just means we go down, we come back up, we go up, we come back down. You're looking at this, the blue line, 506.72. We go down 2 strikes, and where do we bounce? 505, right at the strike. That's why if you're trading 0 DTE options, you need to only be thinking about strike prices. What happens at the strike? Well, we get down here, and you get a bull, and you get another bull. And the incredible thing is, 10 contracts of these 3 bouncing bulls, 1,886, and you're returning $5,000 just buying and holding until the end of the session. Why? Because you get mean reversion. We go back to the blue line, and we actually go a little bit above it, all the way to 507. Nightmare mode, 1300. Do not even pay attention until then. Don't put in any trades. Don't even try, because look, volume's low. And what happens? We move down, but you only see 1 strike, right? We're just playing at 506 for the whole first hour. Skip the open. Unless you see 2 strikes, 3 strikes in one direction, then you can trade it. But if not, there's no point in doing this thing at all. Now we'll go and we'll look at tradability in send it mode, easy mode, and you'll see what I'm talking about. But this is like average. Most days are like this, like nothing happens until the very end. They're just bleeding out puts and calls right here. But if we follow Rig's strategy, 1300, let's look at this thing. 1, bear bomb, we're telling you, extremely high risk, right? Because we're low. PS minus 2.48, volume 70%. That's low. That is a very risky trade. Whereas here, minus 3.4, you're getting to trade it. Trade it for mean reversion if it comes after a big nuke. Okay? Both of them, back to back. Trade it recommendations. And what happens? You win both. This is like the perfect setup. Nightmare mode, you're cashing at least 100%. Amazing. That is your 0 DTE strategy when nightmare mode is on. Skip the open. Do not trade it at all. Come back at 1300. You're looking for mean reversion, which means if we're higher, going lower back to the blue, or if we're lower, going higher and returning to the blue. That's it. And if we don't get that setup, that's fine. Like, just skip it. Don't waste your money or your time. But if we do, as you can see, click on this bad boy, 208%. That's holding until the end. Incredibly, ridiculously profitable. Always lose small, sometimes win big. Rigged AI, the best options trading system on the planet. In the next video, we'll cover one of the other modes, possibly hard mode.